friends and neighbors. I'm Chris Keaton, and this is Random Acts. So, ho, 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 welcome, welcome, welcome. Here we are, taping this in July, but I got that holiday spirit. You know what I'm saying? I mean, to me, every day is a holiday. Every meal's a banquet. You know what I'm saying? So, today on the show, I've got my friend John Mason, who is an incredible entertainment attorney who has led a marvelous life. It's not over yet. He's got a lot more cool things that he's going to do. But he just wrote a book called Crazy Lucky. And he's going to tell us a few stories from that and talk about the book. But trust me, you got to stick around for that because it's going to be a whole lot better than the bullshit that I'm going to share right now. But even though this bullshit that I'm going to share right now is pretty cool, actually. So, at any rate, I want to say welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for tuning in. Please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel because it helps the algorithm. I say that like I know what I'm talking about, but I don't have a clue what it means. But I do know what I do have a clue about, and that is books. I like to read. Yes, and I mean, like my previous guest, Tommy Lee James, recently said to everybody on here that I read too much. Well, he may be right. But I have to tell you a funny story about my relationship with reading and books. When I was growing up and I went to elementary school in Vinton, Virginia, I went to East Vinton Elementary, and the principal there was a gentleman named Richard Stone. Very nice man, very tall, and like when I was, in the first grade, he looked like he was 9 feet tall. I mean, really. Striking man, very smart, everything. Well, when Gina and I decided in 1993 that we were going to move to Nashville, we had this big yard sale, and we had it on a Saturday morning. And as you know, yard sales start at like 4:30 in the morning or something wacky. I had been out really late the night before. We're putting stuff out. There are already people swarming in the yard, and I'm bringing things out, and I'm bringing all these books out that I'm selling. And I walked past this gentleman, and he says, "You got a lot of books here." And me being cynical Chris, I said, "Yep, not a single one's ever been read. They're like brand new." And I turned around, and it was Mr. Stone, the principal from my elementary school. Yeah. Well, to try to make up for that, I'm going to share 5 books, 5 of many, but 5 books that really have made a difference in my life. Number 1, anything by Malcolm Gladwell. Listen, if you know me, you know that I am the connector, and I got the connector from Malcolm Gladwell's book, The Tipping Point. But I've read tons of his books. I love his writing style. He researches the bejesus out of everything. He's really something else, so check him out. I love Rick Rubin, the record producer, and he has a book that I highly recommend called The Creative Act. And it's all about being a creator and the fact that all of us are creators and storytellers. I love the book Frank, about Frank Sinatra by James Kaplan. It's big. I mean, it's like 750 pages. Not many pictures either, so don't get your hopes up for that. But it's a great book. One that's really changing my life right now, Who, Not How, by Ben Hardy, Dr. Benjamin Hardy, and Dan Sullivan. But the book that really did it for me was the autobiography by Jerry Weintraub, who was Mr. Show Business. And the name of the book is When I Stop Talking, You'll Know I'm Dead. Now, I know you're thinking that's probably the same thing with me, that when I stop talking, you'll know I'm gone. Well, at any rate, those are the 5 books. Now, all of us are storytellers. We all have a story to tell, or we all have a part to play in someone else's story. And today, my guest is author, entertainment attorney, and storyteller John Mason. This guy's lived a life that most of us can only dream of. I'm telling you, it's star-studded, funny things, heartfelt moments. It's a really great book, Crazy Lucky. That's his new book, Crazy Lucky, and it shares some of his wonderful, funny, and touching stories. So, hang on for just a few more minutes, and John Mason will be here. Thank you. All right, friends and neighbors, I told you this was going to be good. Today, I've got my friend, John Mason, who is a music and entertainment attorney, a bon vivant. I'm telling you, this guy really loves life. He grabs every second of it. And he's got a new book out. It's called Crazy Lucky. John, welcome to Random Acts. How are you?
I'm great, Chris. Thank you. Great introduction, man.
Well, thank
I
you.
feel like when you talked about the book, I had to hold it up so people can see it. Is that okay?
Absolutely. Please do.
Just see one on my desk. What a
Fantastic.
coincidence.
You know, how does that happen? How could you just happen to have one? So it's called Crazy Lucky, and it's remarkable stories from inside. What is it? Remarkable stories from inside.
Inside the world of celebrity icons.
Okay. Now, I'm going to tell the audience, too, that in my book, John, you are also a celebrity icon. And I have to tell you why, because when I first moved to Nashville in the early 90s, I would always hear about John Mason, but I never saw this guy. It's like this ethereal thing. And then in the book, it kind of tells me, because you made a really good effort to be available, but not like over the top. I mean, people could find you if they needed to, but it wasn't like you were always there.
Yeah, that's funny. I did write about it long ago when I was a much younger lawyer. I figured out that if nobody could find me, I would become the guy they wanted to find. So I had an unlisted phone number, nothing like today when all you see is lawyer advertising on television.
Right, right.
But yeah, even in Nashville, I have kept a very, very low profile. It has allowed me to do what I do for the people that I do it for and keep the number of people that I work with small. And that's the way I practice today, too.
Well, it seems like with that kind of motivation to do business, you really can focus on your clients. And what I've read in the book, your relationship with your clients is a lot more than an attorney-client relationship.
Yes. I am a confidant, but I am in the role with artists of the consigliere. If you read the mafia stuff, right?
Yeah,
I have a lawyer who coordinates all business, coordinates all other lawyers that we use for estate planning and tax planning and litigation. I do contract negotiations in film, television, and music, and don't get out of my lane. And it allows me again to focus on what's best for my clients, not what's best for me.
Well, I love it. Well, and some of your clients, I mean, along the way, there's some really, really big stars. I mean, household names: Olivia Newton-John, Roy and Barbara Orbison, who I dearly loved. I mean, you were friends from early childhood with Brian Wilson. Tell us a little bit about that, please.
Well, I started my career that's now in law as a musician and touring, and we did some shows, my band with the Beach Boys, and I got to meet all the original Beach Boys at concerts, talk to them, more Carl than Brian, because Brian was we'd say more introverted than Carl, although Carl was introverted. The extrovert of that group, of course, is Mike Love, who's still out there doing that great job of singing the Beach songs and being the Beach Boys.
Well, it's really great. It's really great to read, you talking about their dad and the whole showing up in the station wagon and the whole nine, which, again, brought back memories for me, because when I first started playing in bands, my dad, who was a doctor, would drive us to the gigs in a station. The gear would be in the back of two station wagons. We'd roll up these 13 and 14-year-old kids thinking we were rock stars. It was good stuff.
Yeah, my dad drove us too, in California back in those days, you could get your license at 15, well, learner's permit. And as long as it was somebody 18 or over in the car, and I don't even think they had to be sober, you were allowed to drive. And because we were doing well, I got a car when I was 15, and I tell some stories about the cars in there too. Remember, I'm from LA, so
yeah, oh yeah,
lots of Corvettes, Chevy Impala convertible that my friends would unzip the back window and climb in while it was parked at high school. Fun times.
That's fantastic stuff. So what was it like growing up at that time period in California when none of us knew anything about how the music business was going to go? It was just purely, to me, it seems like it was purely sending joy out to the audience and getting it back. Is that the way it was?
Well, for sure. I think it's still that way. It's just that the business behind it is so different. But every show I see, and of course we see a lot of shows in Nashville, all of us. I'm speaking
Hmm.
for you guys too.
Yeah.
It's any day you want, you can go out and pick from 15, 20 shows. Um, the joy of music then was just part of, let's say, the 50s, the 60s. We had top 20 radio, we had great stations. You could actually get your record played. When I listen to some of the oldies, I'm surprised we had instrumental hits. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
playing on Stomp, Balboa Blue, Out of Limits. Um, it was just fun. So yeah, that part, yeah, it was fun. People liked it, and playing with the Beach Boys was really fun. They were fun. Wasn't so much fun. You ask about Brian in the '80s when I was Brian's lawyer and dealing with Eugene Landy, and I'd say the aftershock of their music being sold to by Murray, their
Yeah.
dad.
Yeah.
A&M. They signed the contract, but we did have Brother Records meetings in my office at least twice a month. All the Beach Boys came, including Al Jardine.
Hmm.
Coincidentally, and I mentioned in the book, Al isn't and never was a shareholder in Brother Records, their company, because of the time that he left to go to dental school. When they formed the corporation, he wasn't there, and when he came back in, nobody did a thing about giving him stock.
Wow. Well,
Yeah,
in the book,
contentious meeting.
yeah, and in the book, when you talk about it, in your office that you set the chairs in sort of a circular or half circle, just the visual of that and thinking that the Beach Boys are sitting there, and then later, I guess, with Landy and just all the madness that was going on, it was almost like you were a circus master at sometimes, right?
Yeah, that Landy never was allowed to come to Beach Boy meetings.
Uh-huh.
He wasn't a favorite of anybody except Brian, and I don't know that he was a favorite of Brian. He was keeping Brian alive in a sense, but Brian lived after Landy left.
Hmm.
I did the same, as you know, because it's in the Michael Jackson chapter with the Jacksons.
Oh yeah, yeah,
We just had many circles in Jackson's meetings because of all the family. I mean, come on, Latoya and Janet came, and Rebby and Catherine and Joe and all the hangers on and accountants and crazy.
Well, and I encourage people to read the book because, especially in the Jacksons part, there are a few little nuggets that I'm not going to talk about here because I don't want to spoil it. But there's some really cool stuff that went on, or that actually kind of didn't go on, but it was going on while the meetings were happening. So let me just skip ahead though to your really long time relationship with Olivia Newton-John. I mean, that to me is like such a beautiful relationship that y'all had. Can you tell us just a little more about it? Because in the book it explains a whole lot about it, but I'd really love to hear it from you.
I pausing just because I get a little emotional always about
Yeah,
Olivia.
yeah.
Yesterday, my wife found in stuff, we go through stuff, a note that Olivia wrote us thanking us for sending her a gift on her 50th birthday. And
Wow.
that was 92, I think. And I sent a copy, I photocopied it and sent it to her daughter, um, just so she could see back that
Yeah,
long ago. And I
yeah.
also found my notes from the 1978 court appearance that I write about in the book that Olivia and I did. But Olivia was always one of the kindest, wonderful, thoughtful people that I ever met, ever had the opportunity to work with.
Hmm.
I did a show and tell with my book, but also behind me, you guys can probably see the original soundtrack album from Greece.
I
There's
love it.
Olivia,
Yeah.
1977, and John Travolta. And I have the greatest memories of Olivia, and I can say her passing was really sad. We knew for a few years that the cancer was going to take her away, but she went with grace. Bianca
Hmm.
and I went to her house to say hello about 3 months before she passed, and she didn't know we were coming, and she managed to, with her husband John's help, get in her walker and come out and sit with us in the garden. And of course, she had the drip bag and all of that, and she was still laughing and joking. And that's when I get choked up again.
Yeah.
Just the
Yeah.
most wonderful person, underestimated all the way through. When I started with her in '73, we were having "I Honestly Love You," "Let Me Be There," if you love me, let me know. And then she won the Country Music Award, a bunch of them.
Yeah.
I think it was '74, and Nashville went crazy. How could this girl from Australia, even though she's actually from England, she grew up in Australia, win all these awards? And it was an attack. And then we come back with Grease and with Physical and amazing TV specials. I was able to help her have ABBA on her TV special and Kenny Rogers. And I was talking to Donna. There's a beautiful chapter about Donna
Oh,
Summer,
yeah. Yeah.
her manager from that time, talking about how I got Donna to be on the Eddie Rabbit TV special. There is an Eddie Rabbit chapter in there.
Yes.
An interesting, underestimated guy. I
Absolutely.
think at the stories,
Well,
it's pretty.
no, it is funny, and I have to tell you that Kent Blasey, the songwriter in Nashville,
Yeah.
is the one who originally told me about Even Stevens and Eddie Rabbit's monkey. I mean, that
Oh,
apparently that story has been around for years, but I heard it from Kent probably 5 years ago, and it's hysterical.
well, it's true. And
Yeah,
I did talk about the monkey, what was it show? Hee Haw. The
yeah,
monkey go crazy and fly all over the cage. It just unbelievable stuff, man. And I called the book Crazy Lucky because I am crazy lucky to have been there through all of that. And
hmm,
they're fun, crazy lucky stories. How did Randy Travis get started? How did Kenny Rogers get started? How did Shakira?
yeah, yeah.
Most people wouldn't think I spent 8 hours a day with Shakira going through things, but she is a dynamic, incredibly talented person. And if you want to know what it's like to be with Shakira every day, read the book.
And I did, and I mean, it looked like it was intense because she, in a very nice way, a very graceful way, questioned everything, as everyone
Everything.
in
Yeah.
business should, you know. Well, so the book is available not only at Amazon, but pretty much anywhere where people can buy books. Uh,
Yep.
and and I don't. Is it okay if I talk about that? You are going to do an audiobook. You're doing that, right?
Oh, sure. I'm starting the audiobook, as I just said to you before we came on, in another hour. I'll be leaving to head down to Music Row to start recording.
Yeah.
And Priscilla Presley, it's okay to say that, but Priscilla is who wrote the foreword is actually going to record the foreword over the weekend and send it to me. So she will be
Wow.
reading the foreword and me the book.
That is sensational.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, John, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing with all of us who have read the book and all the people who are going to read the book your inside stories, because it's a joyful book. It doesn't throw shade anywhere. It's just it's like being able to hold your hand and walk through part of your life, and it's really sensational. Thank you for the joy it brought me.
Oh, you're welcome, Chris. I have as much fun reading it as you did, and I will be reading it again today. I'm just going to hold it up again because it is in bookstores. People can find it, and I love people just getting in touch with me like you did and saying, "Hey, this is really fun." That's
Yeah.
what I did it for.
Well, I tell you what, it's a wonderful read, and some of the pictures in there are amazing. I mean, just absolutely amazing. And again, thank you for letting us walk alongside you through that life. What a crazy, lucky life, John.
Thank you, Chris.
Well, listen, you take care, and we'll
You
talk
too.
again soon.
Got it. Have a good day.
Thank you. Okay, wasn't that a great interview with John? Wow. I'm telling you what, and he's got more gold and platinum albums than I do. That's like I had envy during the whole thing. It was amazing, but I want to thank John again for being here today. Okay, so a couple of things I want to talk about here. One is whenever people ask me how old I am, and I tell them, they say, no way. So I've started lying about my age. Now, I'm not the only person in the world, kind of like people who, when you ask them if you've peed in the pool, everybody will say, no, I would never do such a thing. Well, you know they're lying. Well, I do lie about my age because when people ask, and this is like a perfect day for me to talk about it because tomorrow I will turn 70. Yes, 70. I can't believe it either. But nobody believes me, so I lie about it. Here's the reason that I lie about it. Number one, when I first was interviewing with agents for my modeling acting career, I met with a guy named Mark Block. And I went in to see him, and I sat down, and the first thing he did was he looked me in the eye and said, how old are you really? And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, look, you can tell me the truth. He said, I'm not going to tell anybody else because you could play roles from anywhere from 45 to 75. How old are you? And at that point, I was 60. So anyway, I've gotten a lot of business from him, and it was very helpful. But the one that really helped me with lying was a songwriter named Paul Kraft, who I met when I first moved to Nashville. And we got to talking one day, and he wrote like Midnight Flyer for the Eagles, Drop Kick Me Jesus, Through the Goalposts of Life, and all these great songs. Well, I asked him one time, I said, you know, so when you explain what do you do, when you talk to people, what do you tell them? He said, well, I never tell them I'm a songwriter. I'm like, what do you mean? Why do you not tell them you're a songwriter? He said, let me tell you. Anytime, here's how it goes. People go, hey, Paul, so what do you do? Well, I'm a songwriter. No way. So he said, they're already saying no. And then they ask, so what did you write? And he'll say, well, I wrote Midnight Flyer for the Eagles. And they'll go, no way. He says, so why should I tell them the truth? They're going to think I'm lying anyway. So Paul Kraft, rest in peace. Thank you for that lesson. I appreciate it. The other one is, you know, when I talk about myself in third person, or people talk about themselves in third person, you know, Chris doesn't like this. You know, Chris would not do it this way. Chris thinks this. Well, Chris thinks all that is bullshit to talk about yourself in the third person. So if I ever start doing it, please call me out. The third one, just recently, I got both of my ears pierced. Long story, I'll tell you that another time. But the problem is I had one of them pierced before. The problem is now that being almost 70 years old, I've got all this ear hair. Yeah, hair growing out of my ears. It pisses me off. It's like awful because now I've got, so here's the new dilemma. I've got ears pierced, wanting people to pay attention to my ears, but when they do, I got all these hairs sticking out. I guess it's true. You got to wish for big problems in areas that you don't even have areas, because now I got ear hair. Okay, here's another random little thing. One time I was at the Grammys for Grammy Week. I was staying at a really nice hotel, and on the roof of the hotel, they had a hot tub. And one day, 2 days before the Grammys, I was on the roof standing near the hot tub, and I looked in there, and it's Tony Bennett and George Benson. Tony Bennett and George Benson in a hot tub. Now, of course, I had to go over there and sit there and talk to them. Of course I had to. But when I walked away, I happened to think, if one of them farted, who would take credit? I don't know. I'll just leave it there. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about is I want to say thank you to the guys here at Blue Ridge public television and the podcast studio here where we record Random Acts. And I want to brag a little bit because these guys just won a bunch of Emmys recently, and I think it's absolutely fabulous. In fact, the gentleman who did my graphics for my podcast, Random Acts, Jay Prater, won an Emmy. Well, we'll call it an Eddie, but it's an Emmy. Sorry about that. But Jay Prater, congratulations. Okay, before I go, don't forget Chris Keaton, chris@chriskeaton.com. Get in touch with me. Follow me on Instagram at Chris J. Keaton. Follow me on Facebook, Chris Keaton Music. Buy my book, Dapper. Buy my book, Confidence on the Fly. They're both on Amazon, both on BookBaby. Also, don't forget The Song Inside You. Call me about that. I'll tell you all about it. But please, please, please follow me and come back next time. We have the next episode of Random Acts. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. God damn my pants.